Welcome to the Great Old Ones channel. Here I talk about tabletop role-playing games. Today's topic is about Dungeon Ecology. This isn't a new topic. This has been around quite some time, but it's going around the internet right now making its rounds for discussion. So I think I'll make some comments on it here as well. First, we'll start out with a quote from Bruce Galloway, Fantasy Wargaming, written well before the publishing date of 1981, I'm sure. Then, when you think about the setup of a typical dungeon itself, you will find it is usually populated with a variety of non-human races, such as orcs, dwarfs, skeleton men, undead beings, and others, who would normally beat each other's throats. Yet they exist in separate rooms or caverns, bare yards from each other, their only purpose in life seeming to lie in wait for your adventuring party. What do they do? What do they eat and live on for the rest of the time? And those assorted treasure chests, etc., scattered around? Surely the inhabitants of the dungeon would have sought out and appropriated them long before. Again, this is from Bruce Galloway, 1981, for Fantasy Wargaming book. Clearly, he hadn't heard about Keep on the Borderlands, which was published in 1981. And the Keep on the Borderlands definitely is not a static dungeon. Things happen. They've built into the narrative and stuff that's in the dungeon things that happen amongst the combatants, amongst the caves of chaos inhabitants, what they do to one another and stuff like this. So it built some dynamism into the game to show that the world was not a static place, that there are some things that happened. You go away and come back, some things will change on you to make it a dynamic place. I mean, it's a fantasy game. It doesn't really need logic and realism, but if you include some sort of dynamic environment in there, it makes it a little more believable for your players, and they'll enjoy it more. It's not a static place. It's a dynamic place. It changes on them, so there's more to explore and wonder about. In my experience, dungeons weren't really as static as we're led to believe by quotes like this and in what you hear on the internet today. You know, of course, 14-year-old me didn't have a dungeon ecology concept. When I designed a dungeon at that age, I just made a room, put monsters in it, a couple other rooms with other monsters, and when you killed them all off, you moved off to the next dungeon, and we didn't really restock the old ones. You know, didn't have really the concept for a dungeon ecology at that point. But over the years, I've learned that you make your world a dynamic place, make it change so that when your players explore it, something new's happening here or something new's happening there, and the things that they interact with make adjustments to things that are going on with the world, as it normally would be in a real world kind of thing. All right, it's easy to design factions and conflict within your dungeons with a little bit of thought. And the same for wilderness encounters. In fact, everything can loosely be considered a dungeon crawl if you want to look at it that way. You know, city adventures, overland adventures, underground adventures can all fall into this static pitfall, right? Make them a dynamic environment, make things change in them as the players interact with stuff and move it around so that it's a more exciting place for them to play their game. Right? A wilderness encounter need not be static, for example, but have your party meet two warring parties that they encounter on the road instead of just one group of orcs. A group of orcs and say they're fighting a king's patrol or something like this, so that you show some sort of dynamic environment in your world. Right? Have your dungeon party stumble across a recently fought over room with looted bodies and stolen treasure. It's not really an empty room, there's nothing left, but they can see that there's a dynamic environment within that dungeon. The creatures in there are fighting amongst themselves. Right? Just build this sort of dynamic environment into your campaigns. Makes it a lot more fun to play with. Build yourself some random encounter tables and stuff like this, for example, that makes sense in the area where you're at so that random things happen, seemingly like the way things are in the real world. Nothing should be static. It's a little more exciting when your players have something to do, something to explore. So Dungeon Ecology, it might be making the rounds in the internet right now, but it's not really a new concept. This kind of stuff has been around for quite some time. At least, in my experience, ever since 1981 with the Keep on the Borderlands game, and that's been quite some time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Submit some comments for additional topics if you'd like to see me talk on something else. Thanks again for watching.